tuning in this week. I hope you have been able to enjoy this week so far. I hope you've been able to be warm and safe during all this winter weather that we're experiencing. It's been so cold. This week I wanted to share a little bit from my devotion this week and kind of give you my take on it. So I'm going to be reading Daniel 6:20, and that is, "When he came near the den, he called to Daniel in an anguished voice, 'Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God, whom you serve continually, been able to rescue you from the lions?'" This verse comes from a story in Daniel where Daniel was cast into the lion's den because he was tried for failing to obey the decree. David's refusal to bow to any man led him to the den. And later you'll be able to see, if you continue through the passage, that God uses him despite of the adversity, despite of the potential future that being cast to a lion's den had, that God used him to save a nation. David's fate was secured. He was to be eaten by lions. Unless there was some godly intervention, that was Daniel's fate. No one wants to be eaten by lions, to die a death like this. But whether David was to die this death or to be saved because God had a bigger plan for him outside of the den, he was believing and trusting in God's will for him, that he would be delivered from this one way or another. And there was decisions that David made leading him up to this point. He could have decided to submit to man, and this probably would have been avoided in the lion's den. But David would have experienced some sort of lion's den because he submits to man. Had he submitted to man, he would have missed out on God's perfect plan for him, the calling for him. He would have missed out on saving others, bringing more people to being a disciple and being the person that brought more people to God. And he would have been asking for a life of disappointment and destruction. We have choices too as Christians that we make today. We can either give in to the world's teaching and accept a life driven by disappointment and destruction, or we can surrender that life at the feet of Jesus, take on a new one, seeking God's will for us, his will that has a hope and a plan and a future for us. It's not an easy walk, but that sounds a lot better to me. There isn't anything in this world that people can offer me that's going to have a will and a plan, a will for me and a plan for me and my future in mind. The people that we give into and we give parts of ourselves to in this world are only taking from us for their gain. We run into and we meet people and we do things for people that only take from us, but they have nothing in mind for us and our future except for theirs. So like I said, it's not an easy walk. And as you can see by Daniel's example, you will be put into lion dens of your own by accepting this relationship with God. This world will do anything, and they will test our faith. They will use our faith against us. But even faced with a brutal death, he trusted that the same God that saved Noah would be the same God that saved him. In life or death, he believed that God's will for him would be done. So whether that will for him was to be relinquished from this prison, from this den of lions, or whether it would be to be delivered and taken home to be with God in heaven. He believed that God is a living God that's beside him always, walking next to him, with him always. But it is because of Daniel's choice to walk beside God every day, to be with God every day, at the same page with God, at the feet of Jesus. He believed that he would be delivered. And it's because of that belief, that faith that he has in God, that God did deliver him from this lion's den. And that he would continue to be delivered from lions' dens because he saw how important it was that everyone knew that this love, this living God was for everyone, that everyone could be delivered from lion dens of their own. And I want you to ask yourself this week, are you trapped in a lion's den of your own? The world is going to turn its back on you, and you will be challenged in your faith. That is guaranteed, and we see it in this time all those years ago, and we still see it today, that your faith will be challenged. Daniel had big faith in God, and he was saved by him because of it. And God will save you too. My encouragement for you this week is to pray and ask God for big faith like Daniel. And I encourage you to read through Daniel's story. It is a really good one. And it's one of those that I heard as a child, vacation Bible school, Sunday schools, things like that. I heard it as a child over and over again. But it's another one of those that by reading a different devotion or diving in with a different commentary, that it's able to stand out a little bit more to me now than when I was a child. I think that's because I take faith a little bit more seriously as an adult than I did then. But I encourage you to read through it. I encourage you to ask God this week to have big faith like Daniel and to show you what that means in your life, show you what it looks like today. And I also encourage you to tune in next week. I'm doing something a little bit different next week, and I'm going to be interviewing another person that goes to Farmdale. And we're going to be going through a little of his testimony. He's going to be sharing with you. His name is Nate. I'm super excited for you to hear his story, to hear where he came from and where he sees himself going, and what it looks like in his life right now, having big faith that God's going to deliver him, and he has delivered Nate from certain struggles in his life. So I hope that you enjoyed this week, and I hope that you tune in next week and that you get a message from it next week. I hope you get a message from it this week too. And then moving into the new year in February, I have some exciting changes that I'm looking forward to sharing with you for this online ministry. And it's going to be a lot of sharing and hearing about how God's working in people's lives in real life. And I think that that's important for today, for us to see God's hand at work in people's lives today, and people that might be close to you or far from you. And if you can, join us in person on Sundays. We'd love to have you. If not, we'll see you next week. Bye.